me now is 2024 Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek, I think the Democrats are sensing that their lock on the black vote may be, breaking. Even the Washington Post is writing about a drop in turnout potentially among black voters, especially those who are young and male. And also there was this focus group that Politico did this week. And it was a small focus group, but the title of this piece is Pathetic. Voters of color slam Biden's performance on the economy. 6 in 10 saying they're not satisfied with his job in handling the economy. How significant is this?
I think this is a very significant opportunity, Laura, if the Republican Party has the good sense to step up and seize it. I saw this firsthand myself. I visited the south side of Chicago just a couple of months ago. I also went to Kensington in the middle of Philadelphia. I will tell you, Laura, it is not what you expect. I have never been in a room perhaps more ardently pro-border wall and pro-military on the border than the group of a predominantly black audience on the south side of Chicago, because they're turning a local high school, South Shore High School, into an encampment for migrants who are getting treated better than people in that community. And so I think this is a real opportunity for us to say the America First movement stands for, yes, all Americans. And if we stand on that principle to say that we will put the interests of the citizens of this nation first, regardless, urban or suburban, black or white, we stand for the interests of our citizens over those reporting into Zelensky or whoever halfway around the world. I think that's actually a very powerful message that transcends partisan boundaries. And if I'm the nominee, Laura, as I expect and hope to be, we will bring along voters of diverse shades of melanin in droves and win this election in a landslide.
And, as we said in the open of the show, like the Democrats only have the politics of racial division. And so that's why you have the commentators coming out and saying, well, we need black majority states in the United States, missing the fact that blacks are already moving back to the South because it's a better economy. And now, Vivek, conservatives are pushing back against this politics of racial division. Progressive Insurance has been sued by America First Legal for patently unlawful racism by offering $25,000 grants to help black-owned businesses buy vehicles, but barring white, Asian, Latino, and other entrepreneurs from applying. This is part of the corporate scam you've been trying to expose.
It is. And, it's almost ironic, Laura. I'm hearing you say it. Progressive Insurance. It's almost as though they tried to actually even put it in the name and turn it into a branding exercise. The reality is these are civil rights violations hiding in plain sight. I know color blindness is deemed to be racist by the modern woke left. I reject that narrative. I think colorblind meritocracy is part of what it means to be an American. You and I have different shades of melanin. You and I are two different genders. So what? Our diversity is meaningless unless there's something greater that unites us across that diversity. And I think this is our moment, as not just as conservatives, but as Americans, to reawaken what actually unites us across those different shades of melanin. That's what makes us American. And I will tell you, Laura, I think that people, regardless of their skin color, are really hungry for that in this country.
I agree.
You know what? A lot of Americans, white and black alike, have been duped. They understand the economy is in the toilet, and their experience of it is no different just because they're fed the politics of racial division. If we stand up and speak the truth, we end up winning.
Well, you just got a lot of kudos online from Elon Musk, who seems to be perhaps moving away maybe from DeSantis and toward you. Very quickly, your reaction on that. Then I have one more question for you.
Look, I think Elon is an excellent example of what he did at Twitter, is a good example of what I want to do to the administrative state. Take out 75% of the dead weight cost, improve the actual experience of what it's supposed to do. And at the same time, I love the way he released the Twitter files. I'll release the state action files. Anytime a bureaucrat has pressured a private company, let's publish it for the world to see. And he put an X through Twitter. I'll put a big X through the administrative state. So that's where I'm at on common tactics with Elon. I'm just doing it to the federal bureaucracy.
All right. Bill Barr said something yesterday about the Trump indictments. Watch.
The federal cases are legitimate. If there's a chance to get it resolved before the election, it should be, because the American people should know these are crimes that involve, or potential crimes that involve, moral turpitude. I think the chances are that he will be convicted on some counts.
Vivek?
I mean, if you're bringing hundreds of counts across 4 different cases, it's like they're playing a probability game of just shooting darts and seeing what sticks. Laura, this sets an awful precedent in our country. General rule of thumb, if you're going to indict a former U.S. president who is running for president in the middle of an election, at least don't make it novel legal theories that have never been tested in court. And yet that's exactly what's the case here in all 4 of these cases. And that is just shameful, Laura. And I'm saying this as somebody who, there's new polls in the last 48 hours putting me at 2nd place in this race. It would be easier for me if Donald Trump were eliminated from competition. That's not how I want to win. That is not right, because that's not the way we do things in the United States. And, I do think we have an establishment that spans both political parties, that is fundamentally hostile to one man who happens to be one of my opponents in this primary. But I stand on the side of justice when I say I will stay true to my commitment to pardon Trump on day one, unambiguously. And more importantly, call on Biden and the Department of Justice to drop these prosecutions in the meantime.
Vivek, we'll see you next week at the debate. Great to see you. Thanks.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.